Welcome to CCA Tel Aviv-Yafo. I'm Nicola Trezzi, the director here, and I'm also the moderator of this roundtable tonight, focused on the work of Enrique Ramírez. We are currently presenting a solo exhibition of Enrique Ramírez's work that Marie Gautier guest curated for the center, and I want to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all the people involved in the exhibition. First of all, to Marie, who worked very tirelessly on this project, and it's something that we started, with the pandemic. All the exhibitions that you see at the CCA and probably friends in other institutions can say the same. They were planned 3 years ago, and they had a long, sometimes we think more time is better, but this time I think sometimes not so good to have so much time. But she went through everything, and we were able to present the exhibition, and we're so happy that Marie is here. I also want to say thank you to Il Collection and to Pluriel Foundation. They are the main sponsors of this exhibition, and of course to the French Institute and the French Embassy here. They have also supported the exhibition, so I'm very grateful. With this said, I want to just give you the background of this roundtable. When I, as the director, decided to invite Enrique to show, it was actually, I felt it was not really an invitation, but it was a duty from my side. And I will tell you why. Because before this invitation came, Enrique already exhibited 3 times in Israel. And that's why we are here, actually, because his work was presented in 2 group exhibitions. One that Avi Lubin curated at Hamidrasha Gallery, Hayarkon, Chaisre, and one group exhibition that Marie curated at the Herzliya Museum of Contemporary Art. I won't go into the details because I don't want to spoil the roundtable. They will say they know the show better than me. So, and then it was in a group exhibition at the CCA that my predecessor, Sergio Edelstein, who is not in town, otherwise he would have been here with us, curated with Joseph Del Pesco. It was a collaboration with the Cadist Foundation. So I felt that this is, that Israel really wants to see more of Enrique's work. And by the time the invitation came, when the invitation came, Enrique was, a very interesting artist, but now, after that, he got nominated for Marcel Duchamp Prize. He started to show collections. Now, tonight, right? Tonight is opening an amazing project at La Fresnoy, which is a school in the north of France where he studied. Other very important artists like Ari Salah studied there. It's very focused on new media. And tonight is opening a project in which 15 of his works are paired. I'm looking at Marie, she tells me the numbers are correct. 15 of his works are paired with works by 10 artists, all coming from the collection of François Pinault. And the whole project is really, and Enrique is the co-curator of the exhibition, together with the director of the school, and Caroline Bourgeois is the curator of the Pinault collection, and it's a big thing. So Enrique, actually, we bought the ticket today. He will come 2nd week of March, and he will do an artist talk, so stay tuned, more to come. But tonight, we are celebrating him through the curators that have worked with him. And here I am with the introduction, okay? I will just introduce the guests very briefly, and then we'll start with the questions. So Avi Lubin is the curator at the Hamidrasha Gallery, Hayarkon, Chaisre in Tel Aviv, and founding co-editor of Tohu magazine, a trilingual independent online art publications in, of course, Hebrew, Arabic, and English. Lubin was the curator of the Israeli pavilion at the 2019 Venice Biennial with the solo project of Aya Ben Ron. He curated exhibitions at the Helena Rubinstein Pavilion at the Tel Aviv Museum of Art, National Gallery of Kosovo, National Gallery of Macedonia, Eretz Israel Museum, the Bet Uri and Rami Nechoshtam Museum, this is all in Israel, Apex Art in New York, and the Kunstverein Kunsthaus Potsdam, MoM Art Space in Hamburg, and the Art Cube Gallery in Jerusalem. And I already said why it's here. I won't remind because we are getting into in a second. Now, Marie Shek, she's an independent curator. She's currently, I can say, right? Okay. I don't know. Actually, it's opening so soon, so I can say. She's currently working on a solo exhibition of Annette Messager that is opening at the Tel Aviv Museum of Art. We are all very excited. March 1st, write it down, because this is going to be very interesting exhibition. We love Annette Messager. And from 97 to 2000, she was a cultural attaché at the Consulate General of Israel of the Pacific Northwest in San Francisco. And later on, she was an advising curator to Ben Gurion University. And after that, she initiated the art program at Bet Bialik in Tel Aviv. She curated several exhibitions in many institutions such as Artist House in Jerusalem, Herzliya Museum of Contemporary Art, we will get there, Petach Tikva Museum of Art, Gutman Museum in Tel Aviv, the Negev Museum of Art in Beersheva, Maison Européenne de la Photographie, Paris, in Paris, Michel Rennes, also in Paris, a gallery that represents Enrique actually, and Passage des Reds in Paris, and ICA San Jose. This is just a selection. She has long, I couldn't, don't say this, it's, everything is relative. And now Marie Gautier is an exhibition curator based in Paris, and from 2011 to 2020 she co-directed with Ami Barak Salon de Montrouge, which is a major yearly event devoted to young French artists. Really a wonderful initiative that really goes and really real research on the emerging scene in France. She's a former student of École du Louvre, and she has been involved in several projects such as the 2021 and 2020 editions of The White Night, La Nuit Blanche in Paris, the Daegu Photo Biennial in South Korea, Julião Sarmento Solo Exhibition at the Fondation Gulbenkian in Paris, and some projects that we are all familiar with, such as Taryn Simon Solo Exhibition at the Tel Aviv Museum, and Douglas Gordon's solo exhibition at the Tel Aviv Museum. So Marie is a friend of the institution, but also a friend of the scene, I want to say. Okay, so this is how we are going to go. I will ask the question, but actually the questions are also appearing on the screen, so you can listen to me, you can read. We'll have some images to accompany, and feel free, it's very, we have microphone because we need to record, and but don't be scared and raise your hand and feel free to ask and interrupt, okay? So first question is for Marie. Marie, I will read, don't worry. No need to have a neck pain. So Marie organized this exhibition called Respire, works from the Lemaître Video Art Collection. So I'm asking her, what made you select the work Breezes by Enrique Ramírez for this exhibition? If you can tell us what made, yes.
Okay, good evening, thank you. In 2018, there was a cultural Saison France-Israël, which lasts for 1 year, More than 400 events happened between Israel and France. It was amazing in all the field you could dream about. And I was asked to curate a show from the Lemaître family, which I'll tell you more in a bit. And I was asked to do it in the Herzliya Museum. I, at that time, was a big lover of video art for more than 20 years. I changed a bit my taste. I don't change, but I am growing. And I went to Paris to meet this couple, Monsieur Jean-Jacques Conrad Lemaître and Isabelle Lemaître, who have been big collectors of art. They've been traveling all over the world. He was a banker, and they were very curious people. They are still around us all over. And they collected every kind of art, but in 1996 they understood that they want to buy their first video art, which was quite at the moment. They were living then in London. They also understand something that I understood only lately, that through art, through your collection, you can walk around the world and be so well welcome. And they are traveling with their collection in all over the world. They are willing to give, they are willing to lend, and for them, it's an amazing journey. They have a fantastic eye because they used to see films and moving cinema all their lives together. So they were really ready to acquire new work of young artists from all over the world. They are very, very interested in citizenship, in immigration, and their taste was quite focused on political but beautiful work of art. So I went there and I sat in their marvelous house and I watched more than 100 videos. It was a trip, present. But on one way it's nice to see things, on the other hand, to choose them, it's another thing. And when I needed to choose, and I had a place in the Herzliya Museum for only 9 works, I really need to concentrate, what do I want to show? What do I want to say? There is a matter when you are a curator. So the tendency was quite political and poetic. One of the works was Enrique Ramírez, Breeze. The people who saw it can maybe remember, you will see extrait of it. Maybe I will talk about it. Just feel it, and then I will tell you more.
Okay, I will play a bit.
Yes, please.
Y siente la brisa que te cruza. A veces la vida se paraliza y se convierte en un minuto eterno. Pero es así. Los días transcurren escuálidos a nuestro lado y solo a veces estiramos la mano para agarrar los momentos que vienen.
We cannot show everything. So this man who you see is not Enrique. He's a man which is sweating because Santiago de Chile is one of the most smoggy places in the world. And he's sweating not only because it's hot, he's sweating because he's going with his back to us, to the Palado del Monido, which was the place of the government of Allende. Allende was a nice man, but he did one very wrong thing. He decided to choose in 1973 Pinochet. And then Pinochet was a dictator. He killed and tortured more than 100,000 people. Terrible. The people in the city are still in trauma. And Enrique is very connected to this. And the guy is going, you will see very soon, to the Palazzo, which is, even if Pinochet left in 1998 totally at the end, and he just tries to go into the Monida, which is forbidden until now, even though the dictator is beyond us, to enter. So he's trying by his body to go there. He's sweating, the policemen are at the entrance, he's trying to make an effort, and on the left, look at the water. Water is a very important meaning, as Marie will tell us. So let's see almost the end of...
Y siente la brisa que te cruza.
Just the last minute, I called the whole show that I did Respire, because upon this work, because I think that today, even it was done 10 years ago or more, I think we all need to respire in this world we are living in. And Respire is really, if we don't respire, we cannot live. And he's talking about the feeling of struggling with history and trauma. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. We move to the next question for Avi. Avi, take your microphone. I'm asking Avi, what was the role in the, curatorially speaking, as the curator? You know, when you are a curator and you're organizing an exhibition, especially a group exhibition, I would say, works play a curatorial role, like in a theater. You know, they are characters. They appear at some point. They behave it in some ways. So I'm asking Avi, what was the role of a man walking, which is the video of Enrique, in 7 Rituals to Change the Mood, which was the exhibition. Both exhibitions were in 2018, very interesting, the same year. So it was kind of like a, you know, no coincidence. So please.
So maybe I'll give a little bit background about the exhibition. This was actually the first exhibition that I curated at Hamidrasha Gallery when I was appointed there. And I actually started curating the place after a very traumatic few months in the gallery. The previous curator, and I guess most of you know, committed suicide. And the gallery was closed for a few months, and everybody was depressed, both in the gallery and in Hamidrasha Art School. And I had to enter this position when nobody had a good mood. And after, you know, every August here in Israel, it's not only hot, it's always also, we have every August violent events between Israel and the Palestinians. So it was another violent summer, and everything was depressing. And I wanted to start with, in a way, healing the gallery, or cleaning, or, I don't know, purifying, so I can enter, or I can start, or I can do something in it. And I called the exhibition 7 Rituals to Change the Mood. It was 7 rituals because 7 artists, or group of artists. Actually, Enrique was the only non-Israeli artist, but it was Ani Khatib and Public Movement, Karam Natur and Aya Zeiger, Sharon Glasberg, Adassa Goldwich, and Asi Meshulam, and Enrique. And the idea was to create all the gallery space, the 2 floors, 500 meters, was this one exhibition. And I wanted to create a tension between things that I said, like healing and purifying and empathy, and at the same time not leaving resistance and criticism out of the equation. And Enrique's work, I saw it a year earlier, I think, in the Venice Biennale, in the main exhibition, and I was swallowed into the work. I felt it's not only the beautiful, maybe we'll see an image of it soon, but it wasn't only the beautiful landscape and the mesmerizing mask and clothes, and maybe we'll see it and then I'll talk. So it was important for me to choose works and artists that I felt that aren't cynical about the rituals and that they are not looking at it from outside, but that they can be critical and understand it from the outside, but also from the inside. That I felt that it's really coming from their culture and from something they really want to practice and do and feel. And in Enrique's example in this video, it's a combination because it's filmed in Bolivia, very high, like 3,600 meters above ground, in the salt deserts. It's really beautiful and amazing, and if you see the entire video, I think you can't stop looking at it. And it's in Bolivia. He's coming from Chile, but it's not very far. And again, he's dealing with both things in the same time. First of all, about the way that capitalism or the Western gaze on South America blurs everything. Like Bolivia, Chile, I don't know, Argentina, everything looks the same, and the rituals and the culture, and we don't know the differences, and how you can preserve or understand the importance of the past, of not waiving it. At the same time, he's using masks that are a part or reminiscing the resistance against the colonialism of Spain. And it's not only resisting and criticizing, but I feel that is also the ritual is real. You know, that you feel that even though he's mixing a lot of things, and even though he's inventing something that is not historical or religious or real ritual, it is real. This not a lot happens in the video, but a lot happens, I think, emotionally and spiritually. And I felt that this is something about the rhythm of the video that I needed in the exhibition, about something of the movement that it added that wasn't in any other work there.
Thank you. Now we have a question for Marie. All the questions for Marie are, of course, connected to the exhibition, and I hope you have seen it already. If not, of course, it's open. You can see it after. So I really want Marie to give us some insights on one work which is called Wind Project, which is a sound piece, but I think it's a bit of a reduction to say just a sound piece because there's way more behind. So I would like her to tell us a bit about this work, both conceptually and technically. And I just want to, I'm checking. Yes, I will just show you, and you can hear a bit the piece, so you can, and then Marie will speak. This is from downstairs, so, you know, it's like, I have to, sorry, I will just. Okay.
So the wind piece, it's a sound installation based on a real-time capture of the wind in two different locations, which is Tel Aviv and Gaza in the same time, and it's with Wi-Fi, so it's real-time connected on the two places. And Enrique worked on a software which is playing in a way according to the wind speed, different sound material. He captured here, especially when he came 2 years ago, about wind, sea, birds, like natural environmental sounds, and played accordingly to the wind speed of these two locations. So it's like something which is, I mean, based on the wind speed. So it's gonna, for example, if the wind is going fast, the sound's gonna go fast. If it's going slow, it's because of the movement of the wind. And it's, in a way, created in a one space, a separate, it's, how can I say that in English? I'm sorry for my English, but it's like relocated and one space based on two separated locations. So poetically, he's trying to recreate a link between these two places.
Thank you, Marie. Okay, this is a question for Marie. Marie Shek, do you think that Ramirez's work has a special resonance in the context of Israel? And if you think so, if you can give some other examples of artists that are working in Israel and that, you know, would be an interesting connection to the ideas that make Enrique's work so appropriate for this context.
So when I saw the show, the video first time, I didn't think about what I'm going to talk about, but in my research and my mind, I understood that Israel has 9 million citizens and Santiago de Chile has 8 million citizens. We have so many similarities, it's just incredible. They are post-trauma, we are post-trauma, not for the same reason. They had dictature, we had war, we had Holocaust. They have a lack of rain. They are living apart. Part of Santiago de Chile is upon Mapocho River and very high mountains. That's why the climate is so hard for the, as I said before, the smog. And they feel really unconnected to the world. They are just, the boundaries are just living alone, living apart. I often think about us like this. I mean, we are surrounded by beautiful countries, but we can never go there. And I feel really apart. I cannot take a train and go to another country. So in this sense of post-trauma, small country, we need to survive, they need to survive. I read that they have so many art places. They are so developed in cultural sense, and like we do. You know, we have 18 art schools in Israel. I mean, it's just crazy. So I think when you are in such a state, you really reinvent yourself. It's almost too frenetic, I would say. And I think that Enrique, in all his words, is dealing with one, to me, main topic, not only politic and poetic, but the water. The water becomes a real material of issues of, again, immigration, being here and there, displacement, as you saw in the wind. I mean, it's always with water, next water, or either you sweat, either you go. He did many, in the Marcel Duchamp, he did an amazing Incertain. The installation was just amazing, again, with him, and he puts himself on barks and he listens to the water. And for me, a good artwork is a work that moves me beautiful in its sense of not only beauty, but the context of it. When it's combining the both sides, I can go ahead and I can show it to the spectator. When I saw Enrique this work, and I was thinking about the Israeli art scene, who are the artists who could remind me in their connection to the video? And I thought that 3 artists just took my mind. First of all, I think this show impressed me for many years. It went with me, I think I saw it 7 times. 2002, Alon Segev, next to Tel Aviv Museum, an installation was so strong, not only visually, expressively, but what Sigali did. She stayed in her studio for 22 months, she connected every Haaretz newspaper and she made them papier-mâché sculpture. And she put them on the roof. Alon Segev, first gallery, was amazing. And she created really the feeling of being in the roof with the poorness and the, the Tel Avivian roofs. We all know them. It went with me a lot. It went with me far. I think that this show has a very important, meaningful importance in the Israeli art scene. I think that 20,000 people came, gallery-wise. It was crazy. So it reminded me with Ramike, not in the way that you see it, but the personage, even the sculpture that she always like dancer, is always also in perpetual movement. Always, Ramirez never stopped. That was my first link to Israeli. And then I thought of another work of an artist which I really love, Rafat Khatab, who I showed in Paris. You can, yeah, please have a look. Rafa did a very impressive thing. He took an olive tree from Palestine, he brought a bag of water and installed it in the Kikar Rabin, the memorial place of Tel Aviv. And he does it with the song of love. The music is, the song is called Love. It's a singer from Lebanon. And the whole thing together, even though it's political, I mean, again, we speak about displacement, dreams, places, immigration. How do you feel? What does it do? And in our main stream place, so I really loved it. And the last one, which I thought is on another topic totally, Nir Evron. I think there is no sound, so you can have an idea. Nir Evron showed a solo show even here in the CCA. Nir went to, there is a place in Arabic, Tel El Ful. It was created in 1966 next to Ramallah, I think, and it was created for the King Hussein and his family to go in the summer to have beautiful trips. It was in 1966, so they started to do it, and then there was the war, 67, and then it was stopped. And until now, the seat is empty. It became under the Israeli authority. And what Nir did, which was amazing, he took a cinema camera, 35 millimeter, and encounters the place. The place is mesmerizing. And he encountered the building, like living in it, like feeling the dream of the place to be reconquered, but it's still empty after 50 years. So again, it's the combination of beauty, polity, not on the face, but underneath. That's what Ramirez works reminds me, and these Israeli artists are echoing.
Thank you, Marie. Now a question for Avi. If you can evaluate the reception of this work, and we're talking about a man walking in the exhibition, among the people that you maybe had the chance to speak to, you spoke to, what was the reaction? I just put I think it's a very nice view of people just, I think, taking their time in front of the work.
Yeah, I think this is a good photo for that. I don't have a lot to say about it, but I think the the good thing for me as a curator was that people really stayed. All of us know that with video works, it's very difficult to keep people stay from beginning to the end, like for more than 10 minutes, and sit and watch the entire video. And we know that a lot of times in videos, people enter, exit, go through it, invest 30 seconds. And I think something about this, first the beautiful landscape and the sound and all the combination of all the elements in the work really attracted people to spend their time and see it entirely. And I felt that the things that I said earlier, I think also, Marie said something about love. And for me, in the last few years, I'm really interested in this term of politics of love. And about love as being not only healing, but also a possibility of resisting, and also a possibility of saying no. But trying to rethink of how to do this thing, or how to treat reality or the problems. And I felt that this is something that worked with Enrique's work, that because of this special or unique way of resisting or saying no, it makes people more attentive and willing to listen, or willing to watch and willing to stay. So.
Thank you. Actually, I just want to add that I think because of the salt and the sun, and there's a sort of familiar, if you think about the Dead Sea, it sounds like I think maybe the Israeli public was also drawn to these colors that we are familiar with.
It was amazing because I talked a lot about it in the exhibition, that we have the Dead Sea, which is so low below the sea level, and this desert, salt desert, is very high, and it has a very similar atmosphere in a way. But it's also interesting because you mentioned Sigalit, which is the queen of the salt.
Thank you, Avi. So now a question for Marie. Was the context of Israel influencing the choice of Enrique and of you as the curator of the exhibition to create a new version of La Gravedad, Gravity, which is the work downstairs? And if there was, if you can tell us about.
Yes, the film itself was shot in 2015 in Chile. And at the beginning of the project, Enrique was supposed to come here and to shoot a new video, but it was impossible to travel. So we tried to figure out how to do a show from abroad in a way, and to create an installation which is like an inclusive installation. And so he thought about this movie because of what Marie said. There is plenty of links between Chile and Israel about this idea of history, memory, trauma, and this movie, when he did it in Chile, was a tribute to all these ideas for the situation during Pinochet period. So he decided to reuse it and to change it because the orientation of the image changed. So he decided to change it, to adapt it, first of all, to the huge space of the room downstairs, but also because he changed it. It's a way to change the point of view on the video itself, because it's changing because of the context here. And then the sound, the Wind Project, for example, was also, in addition to the movie, is working as a sound for the movie. So it's created a new kind of project because the sound is not the same and it's totally related to the space, or at least to the country here. And then all the project around the poem, you've got the poem La Gravedad he wrote about this idea of gravity, and what is interesting I think in this film is the fact that it's the papers, these blank papers, that, in a way, going against the idea of gravity because they're floating, going in all the different orientation than just going down the floor. So this is all this idea of possible movement, and the poem, so he wrote about the gravity, is related also to the neon in a way, which is a tribute, if I can say that, to a poet, a Palestinian poet, Mahmoud Darwish, and it's an extract of a poem with the title of the poem is Who Am I Without Exile? So it's all this question about like being moved and in like the displacement, this idea of personal history, global history, and how from different point of view, countries, we all share this type of ideas and question about, in a way, freedom of movement and of speeches and everything like that.
Thank you, Marie. Now, I actually have a same question for Marie and Avi, which is when you present non-Israeli artists in domestic institutions. I like the word domestic versus local. I think local is always sounds bad, and why we should either in solo or group exhibitions. Do you have guiding principles? Do you follow your instinct or passion for a specific artist, or do you have a line? Or does it really matter, or what matters is the quality of the work? I think it's an, I just want to add that it was very interesting. I had a conversation with an Israeli artist, and she told me that it's very difficult to show non-Israeli artists in Israel. And I was so confused and intrigued by such a question, such a statement. So anyway, I would be happy if you could react, Marie.
I think that it's true, not only for video art. When you have foreigner artists to come to even Tel Aviv Museum, you will see 10% of the people, you would see 400. I think the Israeli are kind of a community. They go a lot in opening a show for the gang also, to be part of the scene. So that's one of the reasons. I must say that it's a hard question because, first of all, I say that my passion for the work, I mean the quality of the work is the main topic for me to create a show. Not his name, not his gender, I just need to love it in order to pass it to my spectator. Now, doing a solo show is one thing, a group show is another thing. Solo, it's easier because you show all the facets of the artist like we do now with Galit, my co-curator in Tel Aviv Museum, with Annette Messager. She's part of it, she's the main, she's the artist, we work together, but you will see many things of what she did. Okay, in a group show, you need to be a conductor of a philharmonic, mainly in video show, because it's so many noises. When it's not going well, even for the sounds, it becomes cacophonia. It's just not nice. So you need to be very precise. What do you put next to what and where? Now, as a curator outside of Israel, I had this debate. People are expecting for an Israeli curator to do political, to show political. It's always, you're Israeli, the occupation, the country, and it often bothers me that I represent my country only on this side. So I had to make many choices in order to, and I saw myself going to this tendency of showing political video art because I needed to show what people wanted to show. And Enrique is coming, he's not really political like Sigalit or something, But he has this similarity, as we said before, of the sensitivity that I'm looking forward in artworks in general. I want to finish my talk in the Respire show, and in many of my show, I want to start and to captivate the audience with either sounds or either movement, so that when he enters the space in a group show, he's kind of dancing between the works. It's very important for me, and Internet Messager, you will see, you will move around. In the Respire show, I put this breeze in a dark room. People were there, suffering. It was very, but I start the show with Clément Cogitor, who is a star. Les Indes Galantes, the music by Jean-Philippe Rameau, 1735, Baroque music, and people were just. I wanted to captivate. And it's a political story. Some nigger people, black people were killed by white people, and 100 people died 20 years ago in Los Angeles. That's the reaction. Black dancers chosen by Clément Cogitor. They performed in Opéra Garnier. 2 years after, it was an opera in Opéra Bastille. One of the most beautiful things I saw in my life. Enjoy. This group are dancing a crump dance. It was created in Los Angeles, especially after the event. Since they are together, black and white dancing.
Avi, you want to? Actually,
Yes.
for Avi, I'm sorry, I didn't have the time to source the video, but I have a still, and I don't know what, but I put this work by Ryan Trecartin, who I think you showed
3 months ago, 4
yes,
months ago.
yes, and Ryan Trecartin is an artist that you showed more than once in your exhibition, so
It's usually
Yes.
maybe I'll answer in two parts. First, you said something in the end of your things that I think is important. I do think that it's really difficult in Israel to show international artists that are not Jeff Koons or Yayo Kusama, because I think both fields, the wide public do not know them, and the art scene is many times a bit like Marie said, is coming to their friends. Because there are so many things to see and so many spaces, and they don't have time. So I try to always mix. I usually both international Israeli and also different generations, because I feel many times, that when you show Tammy Getter or Neustein or David Riv, it brings some kind of audience or crowd. And when you see the next exhibition that I'm we're installing now, one of the exhibitions is Aisha Arar, which is a very young Palestinian amazing artist. And I think that if I want a lot of people to see her, it has to have a reputation of a gallery that is not only very young artists in their first steps. So I think it's not easy.
Complicated.
Was a bit easier, but the previous exhibition was Nilbar Gures, for example, which is an amazing Turkish artist, very successful in the world, but here almost no one knows her. So this is about the end of what you said. If to go back to the beginning, so I think one thing is a relationship. I think it's important for me. I never work with artists, only through assistance or collections or galleries. I have a dialogue. I think that this is curating, is to have dialogue with artists. So also with Ryan, originally we thought about a different work for this exhibition, and we had some problems with Prada.
Okay.
So I thought together with Ryan, what do we want to show in the exhibition? So
Prada, let's just clarify. Prada, it means Prada Foundation, which collects the work of Ryan Trecartin, and they probably gave hard time to Avi. I can see that.
Actually it was COVID. COVID and Prada. No, because they did a new commission to Ryan and Lizzie Fitch, and their contract was that it's going to be on view in Milan and then in Shanghai. And because of COVID, it never opened in Shanghai. And they didn't agree to release it to the world before it's in Shanghai. So we couldn't show it. But yeah, so one thing is connection and dialogue. So this is, like you said, with Ryan, I worked a few times, and many times this is what happens to me with artists, that sometimes it starts with a group show, but then it develops to a solo show or to multiple group shows, because when we have good dialogue and good chemistry and good connection, I like to continue it. But in addition, I have to say that when I invite someone to show here, I always ask myself, why him or her, why are they relevant here, and why is the work interesting or important to be shown here. You probably know there's something I really like. There's Nina Simone, like the curator, not the singer. When she was appointed to Santa Cruz Museum, she saw that the budget is very problematic. It's going to close. The community is not interested in the museum. No one comes. And she really tried to understand what is relevant for the life of the community. And not by doing, stupid, populistic exhibitions, but to really understand what are questions that are relevant in the community that she lives in. And this is something that I ask, when I invite an artist, for example, Enrique, we saw many things of why is he relevant, but I'm trying to find or to work with artists that I feel that the work is dealing with questions that are bothering also me here in Israel, here in Tel Aviv, or here in the political, social situation. And also, it's not only which artists do I choose, but which works also. Many of them are new commissions, but also when you invite existing previous work, you always ask, why this work? Why is it important to show it now? Why is it important to show it now here?
Thank you. And the last question for Marie. So just for those who are not familiar, the exhibition actually is in two galleries. There's the ground floor gallery and the gallery where we are now. It's a multi-purpose gallery, as the name says. So we use it for multiple purpose. And during the running of the exhibition, here we are Marie with Enrique selected 5 video works among the many, and we just saw, like, for instance, the man walking, which is a hit, is not here in this. So I wanted to ask Marie, what was the guiding principle of selecting these 5 works among the many that Enrique did in the context of video? As you know, this is a cinema, so what best we can show if not beautiful video work? So if you could tell us.
Yeah. So Enrique is a video artist. It's his main medium. So we wanted to show several videos he did through all his practice. So there is old video, for example, and more recent one. And so we selected 5 videos. Also, we wanted to have quite short videos to be able to keep the viewer in the room, so longer possible, and to see different work. And so we also decided to select works that were questioning a lot through the idea of water and the sea, because of, we are in front of the sea here in Tel Aviv, and also because the sea is one of the major interests in Enrique work and also in his life, because his father was a sailor producer, so he made sails for boats by hand. It was his work. So Enrique is more or less born on sea, with his father working on that. And it was also this idea of questioning all the different approach you can have through the sea about moving, and maybe you're going to show an extract of
yes, of course.
It's a short video, it's 5 minutes, it's an old one, if I can say, because it's 2012. It's Cruzar a Muro, which means crossing the wall. And it's always questioning this idea of borders in a way. And I thought it was a good example to discuss a bit this idea of the selection of video, because it's in a way a summary of all the other video in terms of subject. And how the sea questions the notion of immigration, and it's based on, this particular movie is based on a sentence from the 13 Amendments of the, in English?
What is Declaration of Independence?
Yes.
Yeah?
A Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Which is saying that we should be free to move from our country whenever we want and to go somewhere else, but also to come back. And this is, all the subject in Enrique's movies is about this possibility to go through. And Enrique he arrived in Europe more than 15 years ago, and he's explained to me that he's like a foreigner everywhere in a way, because when he's going back to Chile, he's no longer living there, and so he's a foreigner of his own country, and he's still not French, or he's got the French papers, it's not the question, but it's more this idea of where are you coming from, where are you living, what does it mean, and the sea in a way.
Every part of this earth is sacred to me. Every shining fine way
to discuss it in a very deep way.
Una casa con una puerta grande. Al interior tendrá un gran pasillo pintado de blanco que conducirá a un gran patio de luz. En ese patio habrá muchas puertas. La primera mano derecha será la mía, donde habrá un sofá para cuatro, muchas luces. El muro estará pintado de blanco. Dicen que el cielo es azul porque el lugar se refleja en él. Dicen que cuando te cierran una puerta, hay miles que se abren. Dicen que los caminos siempre conducen a algún lugar.
Thank you so much. We have, I just want to see if there's any question for our three panelists. Questions, don't be shy. We are, no? Yes, Tamar, but you have to come here and speak in the mic just for the recording.
I'm just curious, you mentioned Enrique as being an artist of the water, and that's his main element. And also, that's the site of trauma in Chile and the disappearing bodies during Pinochet, and they surface every few weeks. You see a body, apparently it's kind of a recurring trauma. And I wonder, when he came to Israel, suddenly the installation downstairs, it's air. It's not about the water. And kind of, if you see maybe why this shift or something there.
I think, the sea is one of his main elements, but it's generally he's working with natural elements, so it can be the air as well. And there is one movie in the selection we made, which is La Memoria Verde. He shot in Cuba, and it's a beautiful movie. He shot in the botanical garden, and through the plants, in a way, so through the garden, it goes through the idea of the country, and he's using, in fact, the plants to talk about a more general situation, because in Cuba it was totally impossible to use direct speech on the situation or political situation over there. So I think the sea, the wind, the plants, the nature in general is a way, it's a kind of vocabulary he's using to speak about a larger situation. Daniel.
Franz Kafka was once asked, how does it feel to be Jewish? And he said, how can I answer you? I don't know how it feels to be Franz Kafka. Don't you think that the exile condition, in fact, is characteristic of the human condition, in the sense that we're all exiled within ourselves, exiled from our youth, exiled from our mothers? Thank you.
I think it's for everyone, Danielle, this question. Yes, who wants to answer?
I didn't say it's not about me, this talk, but I'm an immigrant, and I always felt in between. All my life it's French, Hebrew, here, there. What do I am? Do I belong? I not belong? And I've been here 50 years. I think the feeling of exile is just inherent in most of the people who moved from the place they lived in and where they are, and it's so basic, this feeling of non-belonging that we bring with us, and we need to fight in order, yes, to belong, in order not to be in exile. We all do things to survive, in a way.
Actually, I just want to add from this that after we had this exhibition of Enrique, I started to think the non-Israelis that I've been showing since I'm the director, and it's very hard to find one artist that is from a place and lives in the place. I showed a German artist that lives in Barcelona. I show a British artist that lives in Berlin. I show an American artist whose father came from Palestine to America. And I show a South African artist who is from a tribe. So maybe it is from there, but the whole idea of being South African, it's so, I just, maybe it's, and I think there's a condition when you are an artist that takes you to places. Sometimes it's a physical movement, and sometimes it's as you say, a movement within, but I think it generates, and this I can also speak for myself, to be in another place. I think it creates tension, and the tension, as we are saying, it can be a good, it can be positive. So, any other question from the public? Okay. Thank you so much.